If you were to ask me to make a list of my favorite games, a lot of different titles would come to mind. But two that will always find themselves near the top are Sekiro and Super Smash Bros. Melee. And that's for good reason. Both titles excel in the exact type of experience that my goblin brain craves. Their fast-paced, polished gameplay combined with impossibly high skill ceilings help to build incredibly memorable moments based solely on the player's own abilities. I'll never forget the hours it took me to finally beat Sekiro's final boss, much the same way I'll never forget four-stalking a Fox player on Slippy. So, naturally, given that I've been building my skill set towards game development for quite some time now, it makes sense that my first large-scale project would center around replicating that sense of skill-based accomplishment those games provide. But I don't just want a carbon copy of either title, as I could never reach their level of professional polish with just a team of me. Nor do I want to just blindly mash the design decisions together to create a weird Frankenstein's monster. Instead, I want to create something a lot more unique and reasonable in scope for a single-person project, while still pulling from what makes those games work on a core level. This idea first took form alongside a concept I tried making a while back, based around the MIDAS touch, where you could hit a specific spot on a mesh and have that part turn to gold. Initially, I thought this would be a pretty simple effect to achieve, but it ended up sending me deep down into the Unity shader rabbit hole. It took me a lot of research, iterations, and failed attempts before I was able to get something that both looked how I wanted and also didn't tank performance. But I'm really happy with the end results. I'm planning a separate, smaller video in the future where I go into how it was achieved, so look out for that if you're interested. Now, I just need to build a game around it. Oh, that was pretty easy. So this is MIDAS, version 0.1 as I'll call it, since it's still very rough around the edges and has a fair amount of jank. However, this is kind of by design. Since my end goal is all about game feel, I felt like it was important to push out a quick demo so I could get feedback as early in the process as possible. The core of the gameplay is a 1v1 fight where you're always directly facing your opponent. The unique aspects to this system are the methods of attacking and defending. The goal, as with most fighting games, is to hit your opponent more times than they hit you, and in the process turn them to gold. But rather than having standard button strings or pre-made combos, you use the mouse to control the position of your spear and shield. The objective of the attacker is to get past your opponent's shield and strike their body, while the objective of the defender is to anticipate your opponent's attack and either block them, or more ideally, parry it, giving you a good chance to turn the tides. The turning to gold part functions similarly to Sekiro's posture mechanic, filling up as you attack, but slowly depleting if left alone. In an ideal world, this would allow the combat to center around strings of attacks aimed all over to quickly end the fight, while still providing the one being damaged the chance to flip things around with a well-placed parry. I have a lot of other ideas for ways to evolve this concept, like giving the shield its own gold meter so it eventually breaks, then having your character change stance to reflect this. Or more movement options like a dash or dodge to keep things active, but design decisions like that are best put further down the pipeline until I feel more confident with the core gameplay loop. And speaking of that, this is where you come in. Yes, you. Like I said, it was most important for me to build a demo so I could get feedback early on in the process, so I'd really appreciate it if you could take some time to play it yourself. It's completely free on my itch.io, and you can find a link to it at the top of the description. The demo gives you access to the basic concepts of aiming your attack and moving your shield, along with showcasing the MIDAS effect the game is named after. You can practice everything on the provided training dummy, who himself has separate modes for attacking, defending, and just standing still. Once you've had a chance to try everything out, you can report back here by leaving any critiques you feel would lead the game in the right direction. I'm prioritizing feedback on game feel as well as large glitches and overall game performance. Notes on the art or sound design are still appreciated, but you can assume those aspects will be improved gradually as time goes on. This is gonna be a long project, but I'm looking forward to developing the game further. If anything here piques your interest, feel free to stick around. I have a lot more planned for the future, but I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for your time. Later.